I am going to do Carson's birth story. And Paisley's sleeping in the car back here. I don't know if you can see her, but I'm waiting on my mom and my sister so we can go get our toes done together. So I just thought I would tell y'all Carson's birth story from what I remember. Of course, it was 3 years ago. Okay, let's see. He, at 37 weeks, I think it was December 6th, so it was about a week and a half before he was born. We went in for a regular checkup, and his heartbeat got really slow. I was laying on my back, and she put the Doppler on. I went to a regular OBGYN, and she put the Doppler on, and it got so slow, I thought it was going to stop. It scared the living daylights out of me. Scared my doctor, so she sent us directly across the hall to labor and delivery. We had to be monitored and hooked up to all this stuff, and he didn't move forever. His heart was still beating. They could obviously tell he was on the monitor. He was on the monitor, but he wasn't active, and so that made me nervous. You know, it didn't even click in my head that maybe he was just resting. Anyway, so we were there for 2 hours. Well, then after that, my OBGYN was so, what do you call it, where they're just overprotective. So, and I know you can't be overprotective with your child, especially when you don't know anything about it, but looking back on it, I know that she was just, really, he was fine, but she didn't want to say that because then she could lose her license if for some reason he wasn't fine. Anyways, so I was having to go back every 2 days for a, I keep getting distracted. There's people walking around me everywhere. I had to keep going back every 2 days for a biophysical profile and a non-stress test. And I was working at the time, so I would have to take time off work. My husband would have to take time off work. We'd have to go in for these tests, and it got to where it was just wearing on me. And so I went in one day, stupidly, not even thinking, and was like, the nurse's name, and I was like, look, I'm tired of this. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So she said, okay, you're done. Would you like us to schedule you for an induction? I was like, yeah, that's great, you know, I'd love that. And I can't, knowing what I know now about the dangers of induction, the dangers of Pitocin, the dangers of the epidural, just all the risks that come with everything, I cannot believe that those words came out of my mouth and that she agreed to it. Anyways, they called me, that was a Monday, and she called me the next day and was like, I was on my way to school, college, and she was like, look, I got an opening. If you want to come right now, we can induce you. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, yes, but I had to go take exams. It was the last week of December, so I had to go take exams, and so I couldn't. So they put me on the book for Thursday, December 14th, so I went in. I took that whole next day to go get my toes done, which I'm doing now. I went to go get my toes done. I went to go get my hair done. I went and just spent the day with my husband, and it was nice. And we got up early the next morning. We were so afraid that when we got there, they were going to say, nope, never mind, sorry, go home. So we got there, 7 a.m. They started Pitocin. Soon after that, I think I went in and I was already 2 centimeters and like 60% of pace or something. I'm totally just trying to remember. I don't remember exactly. So I went in and they started the Pitocin, and then about noon, I had a few hard contractions that scared me, but I knew walking in that I wanted the epidural because that was out of fear. Just pure fear of not knowing the power of my own body and what it was capable of. So out of pure fear, I got the epidural and just pretty much waited until it was about 4 o'clock when they came in and said, she checked me again, and she was like, yeah, he's right here. You can push. We can start pushing. It was just beyond me. I was so not involved with my son's birth looking back on it because I just did what they told me to, and they had my baby for me. They just took him from my body. I pushed for 45 minutes, and after an episiotomy and a 14¼ inch head, Carson was born at 4:53 p.m. There was so many people in the waiting room, and they all started coming in 2 by 2. I knew that I wanted to breastfeed, but if I'm being completely honest, it was only because at this time I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't know much about it. I was formula fed, my sisters and brothers, everybody, we all were. So I knew that I wanted to try because I knew that my cousin did for a little while, so I thought, you know, I might as well give it a try. I know it's better for the baby, etc. But I didn't really care or not. I remember actually telling the nurse, because he didn't eat for the first 23 hours of his life because he was so drugged out on the drugs that I had during the birth that he wasn't latching, he wasn't sucking. He would go up to my breast and just hold his mouth there. Wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't suck a pacifier. He wouldn't take a bottle. I remember telling the nurse, oh, it's okay, I'm not worried about it because I'm not like a breastfeed or die kind of person, so, you know, if he doesn't want to breastfeed, I'm fine. I can't believe I said that, looking back on it. But, and another big reason that my husband and I wanted to breastfeed is because, and this sounds horrible, but it's the truth, is we couldn't afford formula. It would really have put us in a tight spot because we were going to have to pay daycare and formula and diapers, and we didn't qualify for any assistance, so we were doing this all on our own. So I thought, well, I've got to breastfeed because that's free. But I'm thankful for that because it really pushed me to get a lactation consultant, really read and research and figure out that, you know, I need to do it. Sorry, I had to get rid of my gum. I can't talk around it anymore. So that's when I started researching breastfeeding, how to get help, the problems that it would cause. He was gassy, he was fussy sometimes, it's, you know, shooting out everywhere. My son was actually had intolerance to dairy, so I had to, at 4 months, he was 4 months old, and I had to completely cut out dairy from my diet. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, but completely worth it, because by about 2 months old I had really got that bond with him, and I knew that breastfeeding was the answer for us, and I knew that's when my whole world started to change. I had researched so many things, natural birth, not circumcising, vaccines I was beginning to start to research. My son was fully vaccinated until he was 6 months old, until I had done enough research to just stop. We had to change pediatricians because she was like, if you're not going to vax, you can't come here. But that's when things started to really turn around for me, is when my son was born, and I started researching, and I couldn't be more thankful. I can't regret what I did with him as far as the scheduled induction, as far as the epidural, as far as anything like that, because I didn't know. No, I had never even thought to research it. I just did what everybody else did because, well, hey, it worked for them, so it's got to be good enough for me. And why put yourself through the pain of natural childbirth when there's drugs available? Why would you want to do that? That was my attitude and outlook on it. And then when I started researching it and seeing the benefits of going naturally and doing it that way, it definitely changed my mind and opened my eyes to a whole nother world out there that I couldn't be more happy that I found. So let me check my time really fast. Oh, we're at 9 minutes. Anyway, so I know I probably skipped some stuff, but that was his birth story. It was really just short, simple, sweet. We had to stay an extra day at the hospital because he wouldn't eat for the first 23 hours, and so they were concerned that he wasn't going to get anything, but they couldn't even get him to drink a bottle of formula, nothing. I'm going to make a second part to tell you about the complications I had after I had my son.